you
Yeah,
know?
it is. But the thing is there there really is something about addicts lifting each other up. You know what I mean? I know I went through some things. Uh, you know, my first couple years in recovery that were crazy stuff. I know, like my poor sponsor. He had to deal with me. I was a train wreck. And I remember asking him one time, like, why he did some of the stuff he did, like, coming to pick me up and help me out on a Friday night because I had relapsed or whatever,
It's like somebody
And
had done it for him, huh?
yeah, he's like, oh, if it was me, I wouldn't have came and got you. He's like, but he's like, it ain't about, I'm doing what someone did for me, and
Right?
I respected that so much because, man, like, it saved my life. It really did, like, and because we don't. That's the biggest thing is, I really never knew how to live until I started getting in the rooms and, like, dealing with my, going through the steps and all this. Like, it helped me to where, like, despite the fact I'm losing my eyesight, I decided, while I was going through the steps my second time around, I'm like, you know, I'm going to work this program. I'm going to give my will up to this program. I'm going to do it. And because I had already seen if I just put a little bit of effort into doing the right thing, how much my life got better, And
For me, the rooms have been great because I couldn't teach what I hadn't been taught. You know what I mean? I couldn't give away what I hadn't got. So I was, if I didn't know how to be a father, I hung out towards people who were being fathers, like my homeboy Chris Morales. I don't put names out on my channel ever, but Christopher Morales has 6 children, bro. And he does something with them every week, and he makes barely a little bit over minimum wage. So you know what it's like to feed one child, you know what I mean? Let alone 2 children, but
yeah,
6, it's a damn basketball team. You know what I mean? He figures something out every weekend, bro, to do with his 6 children. You know what I mean? That's so commemorable, man. Is that the right word? Commem-
yeah,
Commendable? Yeah, it's so
commendable,
commendable.
commendable.
So we learn from the people in the rooms how to become a father, how to become a friend, how to become a husband. You know what I mean? I'm sure you learned the same shit, right? Because
Yeah,
I didn't know anything, bro. I knew
that's
how
what
to
I tell
start
people.
17-year-olds. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's what I tell anybody that I talk to that reaches out that's, trying to get clean or, just getting into recovery. I'm like, look, man, you got to put yourself around people who's doing good stuff. You know what I mean? You're only as good as what you put yourself around. You know, we don't realize how strung out and how dirty our clothes are and all that stuff because we're out on the street with dirty, the other people we're around are dirty, strung out people with us. You know what I'm saying? But if you're measuring yourself against a bunch of people who's in recovery and getting their life together, then you're going to start pushing yourself a little more. You know what I mean?
Plus,
And
you learn the avenues. You learn the avenues to make yourself better. You know what I mean? You learn about Department of Rehab, Voc Rehab. You know what I mean? You learn, oh, I could go to night classes while I'm working here, and I only have to do 3 a week at 3 hours a night or something. You know what I mean? Like, we learn all this shit that we have no knowledge of by going into the rooms and reaching our hand out and saying, "Hi, my name is Badger." You know what I mean?
yeah,
Whatever, like, well, what are you doing with your life? And you learn, and then you learn how to pick your crowd, man.
yeah,
Because I don't want people to think that there's not predators in the room, because there are. You know what I
yeah,
mean? There absolutely are, but you have
yeah.
to
You're
pay
going to have your
attention.
good and your bad like anything else,
Because I get comments all the time about, they fucking did this to me. Well, man, pick your crowd better. You know what I mean? Get your picker a little better. You
Yeah.
know.
Well,
So
you're gonna have to. It's like anything. Like you got to learn to take the good and take the good and leave whatever leave the BS. Sometimes I mean, cause my first time around the rooms, I really you know as an addict, we'll like to pick. We like to make an issue sometimes. To not like something. You know what I'm saying? Like so like yeah like people I mean, I get that people, like I've heard from people on Suboxone, like they were told that they couldn't speak or share in meetings or whatever, and like, you're going to have your good and bad with NA or AA, like anything else. But I
I don't know
promise,
where you stand with it, but people on Suboxone don't need to let the entire fucking room know that they're on Suboxone. You know what I mean? They're there
I
trying to
and
better their
that's what
lives.
I tell a lot of people is, it's an outside issue. Um, you know, you're going to run into that issue just because, that's a touchy subject. I get it. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Um,
I used to judge people on methadone, and I'm like, who in the fuck am I to judge anybody? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a convicted whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, who am I to judge anyone? But I still had the judgment, bro. And
yeah,
I mean, I've outgrown that, obviously, but I'm a firm believer that that's between you, your sponsor, and your God.
yeah. And
You know,
and I believe like also that's what I try to encourage people to keep coming back. Whether that's not an issue you need to worry about telling them what their beliefs on Suboxone and sobriety aren't what you're there for. You're there to get your step work in and that things. Take them things with you and don't worry about their opinion on what medicine you're on because the point that what I try to really stress is to be able to ever get off that medicine or to know what you need to do, you got to get through them steps. You know what I mean? Because we don't know how to live until you know what I mean? And even once we go through that, we're still, like you said, we're trying to learn how to be good fathers from good fathers we meet in the room or whatever. And that was one of the best things for me is because my sponsor set a great example for me with his daughters because I got a 4-year-old daughter that I'm raising now, and you know, uh, my sponsor set a great example for me, man, just by the way he raised his family, and that was the best. My my birth father was a good guy, but he was just, you know what I mean. He was old school. Um, he whooped you if you messed up, whatever, and that's what he thought he had to do, and tell you to go to work and work hard.
right, right, right.
You know,
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that because there's other people. My voice is still screwed up from that concert. I'm a firm believer in that because there's people in the rooms that have to take psych meds. There's people in the rooms that have to take, they're older people in the rooms that have survived to be older, thank the gods. You know what I mean? And they get to, they have to be on certain medications. You know what I mean? It's not the fucking room's opinion to know. It's not their business to know your business. That's you and your sponsor and your God. You know what I mean? So there's no reason to feel any shame or guilt or anything. You're to go to that meeting. You're supposed to, participate in that meeting and be part of because that's what you're doing. You're not trying to be an outside. I'm not in the meeting because of this. You know what I mean? Like you're there doing what everyone else is doing. It's not anyone else's business. I'm also a firm believer that from the neck up, if I add anything to my body that's going to affect me from the neck up, I'm not going to be able to be in contact with the gods of my understanding, bro. I mean, that's my opinion, and I don't push my opinion on anybody. But I believe you need to be clean to have a spiritual awakening. That's my belief. Either that or be on some good LSD. You know, just like Jim. I mean, just like you know. Anyway, our founder. What I mean, he found the book through hallucinogenics too. You know what I mean? He straight up admits it in the book. So it's funny.
that's crazy. Yeah, I did.
So I wasn't trying to jump in there, but I mean, just that's my opinion in the
Yeah,
rooms. I no
and
longer
I
judge
agree.
people. They're the first ones to jump in and help me go down to the valley and pass out food. The guys that are feeling like they're not part of, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
When I'm like, hey, does anyone want to go down to Santa Monica with me and pass out 99-cent burritos or whatever? They're like, yeah. They're usually the guys that jump in there because they don't
yeah,
feel part of this, but they'll feel part of this.
yeah,
You know? So
yeah.
go ahead. Right.
Well, and like you said, man, I agree, and that it's so tricky. Like, to me, like recovery, like you said, there's so many different, you know, issues someone might need to be on medicine. I believe like keeping people in rooms so they can go through the steps to be honest with themselves and figure out, hey, am I on this medicine because I need a crutch to actually do this, or am I on this medicine because need to be on this medicine? You know what I mean? And I believe getting them through the steps is the best way to where they can actually work an honest program. And, they're going to either open up and realize, hey, I don't need to be on this medicine, you know, if they're working an honest program, or or there might be a legitimate reason they need to be on that medicine. Like me and you talked some about that. And I believe if you really, keep them in the rooms to where they can get honest with themselves, they will. That's the most successful route I've seen with people. Because Suboxone ain't going to answer your problems. You're not going to be able to.
It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, you're not, unless you're working a program and willing to go, learn, like we were talking about our fourth step, where we learn to look at that we are wrong in situations. We don't, because I know for me, it's still hard to look, I got to do an inventory daily, and be like, hey, and look at my part in things. And
it's called what? An 11th step?
Yeah. So, and if I don't do that, I'll get away from what the things I need to do. But like basically, learning them things, we have to do that if we want to get, live a better life. You have to learn these tools through the program, and that's one reason I believe, whether you believe in Suboxone or not, I believe keeping people in the rooms is the most important thing, just because that's the only way real healing
until they're
happens.
able to realize on their own without somebody telling them that they need this medicine, they don't need this medicine. I agree, you know what I mean? And it's a great thing that you're doing.
Yeah, because if they're
doing go ahead.
If they're working a good program, then things will come up. You know what I mean? Eventually it will come up, and they will either, they're going to get off that medicine, or there might be a reason they need to be on it. But it's hard to put, everything in a box to be like, hey, no one should ever be on methadone, or no one should ever, because like you said, there's old timers who are all jacked up.
Shut up. Take the cotton out of your mouth, ears, and put it in your mouth. And yeah, I know. We got those guys too, bro.
Yeah. Well, but like you said, also there's old timers who, they beat their body. They might actually have to be on some type of medicine, and they still deserve to have a room to be in to work a program. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
I totally agree. It's a great thing that you're doing, putting yourself out there for these guys. So all you guys out there that are hitting me up about Suboxone questions and methadone questions, go to The Recovery.
Yep, The Recovery, all one word.
Recovery, all one word, and hit my boy up. You know what I mean? He can answer your questions. He can maybe give you some relief. He can maybe give you some insight on what you're seeking. I don't have time to answer all the questions, and it's great that you put yourself out there for these people.